of food in my belly. So that's a plus. What are we going to talk about now? But yeah, going back to what I was talking about, the movie, the 7-Inch Kids. I found it again. I was looking for it earlier, or probably about a week or so ago, and that wasn't the name of the movie. That's what I remembered it as, or that was one of the titles for here in the States. I forgot what the different names were. But yeah, it was a good movie. And talking about Jean-Claude Van Damme and Double Impact, and another movie that was good of his that I liked was Hard. I think it was Hard to Kill. I think that's the one, the right name of the movie. Where it was around in Louisiana, New Orleans, and somebody was killing veterans. No, it's funny. Now I'm a veteran too. But yeah, that was a good movie. I really liked that one. What's one I didn't like? Because it's easy to talk about movies that you do like. Because you remember them better. But he did another one where I'm trying to remember how it goes. He ends up going into prison to catch a killer or something like that. The person that murdered his family or something like that, or this murder or whatever. I didn't really like that one that much, or it wasn't as good. The Quest was another one that he did. It was okay. It just wasn't as action-packed as I thought, or you would normally find his movies to be. I think it's one of the later ones, or ones more toward the end. He's done some good ones since, it's hard to watch him as an older person. And you're like, this is old man, and it makes me feel old. You know what I mean? It's like, but anyway, so what's another one that? Let's see, Bloodsport. That was good. I liked the movie. That was pretty good movie. Fun to watch. And then it turned to find out that the story it was based on may or may not be fake or made up, but it's still a pretty good movie. I liked it. It's always fun to watch. And then Kickboxer, that was great. And it's weird talking about like being a kid, growing up in like the 80s and 90s, and in a small community, small town, middle of nowhere, and things not being like they are today. And as far as like martial arts and stuff like that goes, and you just didn't have a lot of access to martial arts, so it was like cool. And I remember, it seemed like every time someone would always end up like making a movie, or you'd see a movie about something different, and because you had your like your Chuck Norris movies, and I'm at 5, cool, somebody's listening to me now. But anyway, you had your Chuck Norris movies, and they were like more karate, and then you had movies coming out of like China. I can't say China, I don't mean China, but like I don't mean to lump everything into China, because it may not have been Chinese, it might have been Japanese. I wouldn't have known as a kid anyway. And I can't remember enough about it to distinguish it now, but you had those movies that were like, kung fu, and then you had like tiger style and serpent style and fish style and crane style and stuff like that, and it's like, oh, this is so cool, it's cool. And you're like this kid, he's like, I want to do that. But then you're, like I said, you're in the middle of nowhere, and it's like, where are you gonna learn how to do that? You know, it's funny. I'm just running my mouth, but it makes the trip go by faster. But anyway, yeah, like you end up seeing something different. It's like, okay, karate's cool, but kung fu's cooler. And then you find some, I can't remember where it was. There was a movie about capoeiras. They did a movie about that, and they're like, that's the coolest style, and that would beat everybody's ass. And it's like, you know, as a kid, you know, it's kind of like you got to get that mentality of like, my dad will kick your dad's ass. You know, my dad's better than your dad. You know, and I didn't have a dad, so that really that was my thing. You know, it's like, you know, kung fu's better than karate. You know, and it's like, oh, capoeira's better than everything. And then he's like, oh, kickboxer comes out and he's like, oh, Muay Thai's better than everything. And, you know, and it's just like, what? You know, looking back at like this, the way I thought as a kid, you know, it's funny. It makes me laugh. And you know, and now you see like you pretty much go online and find videos of everything. I'm trying to remember what that Capoeira movie was about. I want to say it was something like a guy goes into a school as a substitute teacher or something like that, and there's problems or something like that. Speaking of school movies, The Substitute, that was with I think it was the Belushi. I can't remember. I get all the Belushis mixed up, so I don't want to call the wrong one. But that was a good movie. I used to love that movie back when I was a kid. Man, I could watch that. There's a baseball. I think it was a baseball player got drunk, got in trouble, and they made him go be a principal. It was the principal. I think that was the name of the movie. They made him go be a principal of this like school in like the south side of Chicago or something like bad school, and he had to deal with all these gangs in the school and kids wanting to act a fool and stuff like that, and all that. But it was, you know, stuff like that was cool. Oh, we got a tank. Yeah, boy. This sucker is a wide load. Oh, no, oversized load. My bad. That dated myself right there. That's the tank. Yeah. Go, America. America. Heck yeah. So do you like your job? Who don't? But anyway, back to movies and stuff like that. Growing up, I was all about like, oh, it looks like we got another one coming up. Alright, let's go back to the real quick, like while it's on my mind, the oversized load and the wide load. I remember being a kid and everything, like these trucks that were driving like would have wide load like that. We'd have the sign instead of being saying, instead of the sign saying oversized load, it would say wide load. And so as a bad little kid, some bad little kids in my generation, you know, and probably before my generation too, we'd always make fun of fat people and, you know, oh, wide load. And so somewhere down the line, they decided to get rid of the wide load signs and change it to oversized load. And it never really caught on. So I mean, I guess maybe some people still make fun of fat people and call them oversized load, but it didn't catch on the same. And like, society's different now. And I'm not saying that, I'm not excusing it. You know, I was kind of a bad kid, and I've paid for it in my own ways. Yeah, America. Do 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 do. 60 tons right there. I think they average out around about 60 tons. They're used to anyway. Back when I was back in my day, we used to have to march uphill both ways in the snow, barefooted. Yeah. Anyway, back to movies and stuff. Well, looks like we got another one too. But anyway, that was the oversized load. My little comment on that. Anyway. Growing up, I was a bit more big into like movies and video games than sports and stuff like that. I played baseball for a while, then I broke my leg, and I just never went back into it. I wasn't that good. I mean, let's be honest. I'm at 6 now. Awesome. You know, sometimes you just got to be honest. Be like, yeah, I was not that great of a baseball player as a kid. I was scrawny. I was a scrawny little thing. You know, look malnutrition. Yeah, skin and bones. Shoot, for the longest time, it took me a while to get over 100 pounds. Well, see, what happened was I broke my jaw. I got hit in the head with a baseball bat. I broke my jaw too. That was another thing. And when I broke my jaw and they had to wire it shut, I couldn't eat. So I pretty much for the, I don't know, probably 6 to 8 weeks or so that it took for it to heal, I had to excuse me. I had to or I didn't have to, but you know, I pretty much just drank milkshakes, not milkshakes, but the Carnation instant breakfast things, smoothies things, and they were good. I liked them, so I can't complain about that. But they wanted me to eat. They wanted my mom to blend up like meat and stuff, and I'm like, nah, that's all right. I'll just eat this, you know, drink these breakfast things. And oh, here's another one. That's 4 Americans right there. Anyway, it was fun. Oh shoot, I'm sorry. You're 21 kilos in weight. I don't know what that is. Pounds. Sorry, I just realized people were messaging me. And like I said, it's just like trying to distinguish the difference in time and how people grow and stuff like that. Like I said, I was a bad little kid, and I did some things that I shouldn't have done, and regret the way I was as a kid. But hey, that's the way I was. I can't understand some of this stuff. Let me see it real quick before I go back. Number 21, 19, what's 9 plus 10? I'm sorry. Yeah, what's 9 is 19. 21. But anyway, everybody, thanks for commenting. I'm sorry I just now realized that, but now everybody's gone. But anyway, I'll see if I can continue with what I was thinking. You know, talking about movies and music and video games. I remember playing the original Mortal Kombat when it came out and be like, this is cool. I remember Mario Brothers, Mike Tyson, Mike Tyson Punch Out. Oh, and then because you had Mario and you had Duck Hunt and that stupid laughing dog every time you're like, man, I hated that thing. I remember always trying to shoot it, but you couldn't shoot it. You couldn't shoot the dog. Now I love my dogs, so I don't think I'm just going to go around shooting dogs. But that laughing dog was traumatizing, man. Especially back in the mid 80s. Probably around the mid 80s, I think. Maybe late 80s when the original Nintendo NES came out and Mario and all that. That was so cool. But I remember playing the Atari. I remember playing that. Don't remember it much, but I remember what was it? What was the game I played? Something about a rabbit and a carrot. I think. Could be wrong. And then, like I said, you let's see, Mario, Duck Hunt, Mike Tyson's Punch Out, and that. Good times. And well, let's see. Here's something I haven't heard a whole lot of people talk about, and maybe it's just because I haven't looked very hard, but I'm trying to remember if I had the Sega Saturn or the Dreamcast. I think I had the Sega Saturn. That's the one I had. want to say when it first started going to discs, the CDs, the games started going to CDs. Oh, before I go into that, here's another one that I remember from back in the day. That well, I don't hear a lot of people talk about Aerosmith. It had its own video game. Yeah, it was like a side-scrolling shooter game, and your gun shot CDs, and I think it was like Alien Invasions or something like that. And the soundtrack to the game was Aerosmith music. I remember that. And let's see. What else? Oh yeah, back to Sega Saturn. Yeah, I wanted the Sega Saturn because like back then you used to go to the arcades and spend quarters to play video games, and they had the virtual shooter, and I love that game, and the Sega Saturn. And so that's what I wanted, the Sega Saturn. And let's see, there was another game on that for that console. I think it was called Mr. Bones or something like that, but basically you were a skeleton and you had to run downhill and outrun like a boulder who was trying to kill you. And like if you tripped over something, you'd lose a bone, but then you could take it, if you went far enough, you could get your bones back, or you could get bones back. That was a pretty weird game. And then there was, I remember, like, I want to say one of the, I ain't gonna say the best games for it, but one of the games that were like kind of marketed toward the graphics, or increasing graphics for that was, I can't think of the name of the movie, but you were like a jester and you floated around in space and tried to collect objects or something like that, but you could fly and stuff like that. It was kind of like, or not kind of like, but similar to what's the name of that game? I think on Nintendo 64, I think it was what it was on, the Sky Fox. It was kind of similar to that, but you weren't in a spaceship or nothing like that. You were just like a jester character, or the character looked like a jester. It had like a jester's hat and like a jester out costume, and you were just like flew around and collected objects and stuff like that. I can't remember the name of it. I was pretty sure the skeleton one was called Mr. Bones. I had another game for the Sega Saturn that was you flew planes, and they were like planes from, I guess, World War II-ish, like old planes instead of modern fighters. And then they did have the one jet from, like, I guess, the World War II, the one I think the Germans had. I think you could play as that one, and go and bomb ships, and you would shoot down other planes and stuff like that. That was a cool one. And let's see, another cool game I remember playing was, I apologize, we'll go back to the Super Nintendo later, but another cool one, and this was for the PlayStation, the original PlayStation. I can't remember if I got the PlayStation before the Sega Saturn. I think I got the Sega Saturn after the PlayStation. But anyway, excuse me, y'all. The PlayStation game I liked on there, I never actually got the whole game. It came on a demo when I got the PlayStation. It was a demo, and it was called IQ, Intelligent Cube. And you were just a character that was on like a chessboard, and the blocks would fall, and you had to try to dodge the blocks and stuff like that. I need to get ready to get off. Man, the time's going by, so I'm just running my mouth. And if you commented earlier, or if you're still around, I'm sorry I missed your comments. Like I said, I'm kind of focusing on driving and running my mouth, so no excuse, but I'll try to do better. But anyway, back to the Super Nintendo. Super Nintendo had a cool Predator game. That one was pretty cool. remember. But go, yeah, hold on. I know this is not time accurate. I'm flip flopping around, but I'm just kind of that's the way my brain works. So we played in the original Nintendo. And yes, when we first got it, we had like a small TV, so maybe a 15-inch square TV. It was like really small TV to play on. And then when we got the PlayStation, or not the PlayStation, the Super Nintendos, I still had a little small little area to go play video games, so I didn't bother anybody in the house. And I remember having a sleepover with a friend of mine, and and we were sat there and we stayed up late playing video games. And I finally decided to go to sleep, and I went to sleep, and he decided he was going to stay up and play video games, which is cool, no problem, no harm, no foul. Unfortunately, he went to change the game to a different game and dropped the TV on my legs. Yeah. Oh, and yeah, I was talking about like breaking my jaw, getting hit in the head with a baseball bat, breaking my jaw, and losing weight. I lost a lot of weight because of not being able to eat regular food, and it took me a while to get back. And then, unfortunately, when I was probably around about 16-ish, 15, 16, I started smoking, and that cost me a lot of weight. And then about 16 years ago, I quit smoking, and all that weight that I lost or kept off all them years finally just came flooding back. It's like, dang, man, I gotta watch my weight now. Plus, I'm getting old. Yeah, I'm dating myself bad. Like Nintendo, Super Nintendo, PlayStation. Oh, but like the PlayStation, the one game one of the pretty much I want to say my favorite game for that would have been Final Fantasy VII, I believe it was. I think it's Final Fantasy VII. I spent so much time, I spent like a whole summer just playing that game. Like, that's all I did, and that was crazy. And I'd sit there and play video games and listen to music. I remember, I can't remember if that was the game I was playing, but I remember listening to Prince. I bought a Prince CD. I was listening to Prince. Or, what else did I have? But, I can't remember a lot of the games that I had for that Sega Saturn, but they had a lot of cool games. But like looking back on it now, you had to, the games came in a case that was like the size of a VHS tape of pure plastic, but then you only had like the small little, or it ain't small, but comparatively, the small CD inside the big plastic container. And I remember back then they were talking, like people were talking about, as far as like people maybe, I think there was like some talk around like politicians that were talking about like the waste of plastic and the harm that it would do to the environment and stuff like that. Which I couldn't lie, because it was like ridiculously oversized. I don't know why they went that direction. I didn't have the Dreamcast. It took me a while to try to figure out remember which one I had. But I remember it was the Sega Saturn. And I had it for a long time. And then I let a friend of mine borrow it, and I never got it back. But, hey, it is what it is. Shoot, that was probably around about 20 years ago. No. Let's just call it, round it down and call it 20. But yeah, I like video games. I like going to the arcade. That was so fun. Just go to arcade with a handful of quarters. And they didn't last no time. Putting your quarter down to play Mortal Kombat, or another good one was the Capcom versus Marvel. Yeah, that was another Marvel versus Capcom. I think was the name of that one. That was a good fun. That was a fun game to play. And being able to play out, like Wolverine or the Hulk and against Ryu and Ken, from Street Fighter. Street Fighter was like OG cool game. Yeah, and all just like remember what's it called? Member berries. It's like member berries in my head. Times gone by. But yeah, let's see. That's crazy. It was like 20 minutes, almost 30 minutes to McDonald's. And then I drove a little while on the top of the phone. And it came back on, and it's been like another 30 minutes. Pretty cool. Let's see. We ain't even there yet. Huh. Oh yes. I know another thing I was going to talk about about movies. So when you talking about like again, I don't want to call them China movies or Asian movies, because I really don't want to come off as any more ignorant than I actually am. Because I don't mind owning up to my ignorance, but I'm not as ignorant as I come off sometimes. Anyway, I remember there used to be a infomercial on TV back in the day, and they used to do it a lot when you had all these different movies and they were bundled together, and you got like 7 movies for 3 easy payments of $5.99 or something like that, something weird like that. More than what you're paying. You're paying more than you're paying more than they were worth. Of course, because they wouldn't do it if they weren't making money. But anyway, but you had to have a credit card, and unfortunately, me being a kid or teen, I think I was a teenager probably at that time. My sister, she had a credit card, so I talked to my sister. I said, "Hey, will you order me this and I'll pay you for it?" So she ordered me these movies, and they were Jackie Chan movies, and they were like early Jackie Chan movies. Probably 80s era movies, and they were so cool. It was, and again, they were VHS. They were so cool. I wish I could find them, so I could try to find the movies again, because they were pretty cool. Again, you're dubbed in English. I think they were dubbed in English, and one of them I can't remember the name of it. Maybe one day I'll find it and do a video on it. He was, I can't remember the plot, but I just remember there were like 7 spirits, and each spirit had like a different fighting style or something like that, and he would channel the spirits, or the spirits would channel into him and help him fight whatever battle that he was fighting or whatever. And it was so cool. Again, being from small town nowhere and seeing this cool stuff like that, or what I thought of as cool stuff. But it's but I can't remember if it was 7 or 3 movies for a certain money, or it was 7 movies. But I remember it was like it was a bundle. And you got a bundle, and I can't remember how much it was or whatever like that. But it was pretty cool, and I could watch that. I think I could watch those again, because I am a product of my childhood, and yeah, I wish I wasn't, like I said earlier. I wish I hadn't done some of the things that I've done. I wish I was a better kid. Wish I had took more time to prioritize. Oh yeah, there's one. Prioritize doing good things over for doing things that shouldn't have been done. Luckily, I never really dealt with drugs that much. I drank a little, but never got bad. Luckily, my cousin took care of me and kind of, or I ain't gonna say took care of me, but kind of kept me out of trouble. And I appreciate him for that. Very special person. I miss him. Just don't really hang out the way we used to as kids, you know. Back then, it wasn't nothing to go either him come to my house or me go to his house. It was just kind of the way things were back then. So it is what it is. Till it is what it ain't. Nobody's listening now. It's just me talking. Still don't get the comment about the 9 plus 10 equals 21. 21 kilos in weight. That I don't really quite understand that, but maybe if I knew when it was said, I'd probably put things together. Okay. Hi. There wasn't a whole lot of comments, but hey. I'm gonna get to see some traffic because everybody's. It's almost. It's 8:30. Yeah, people going to work. Pulul. Let's see. Oh shit. Fornicate. See, you gotta watch my language. Fornicate. I'm trying to say that more than the other F word. So let's see. What are some other things? What are some other things? I'm trying to think. Come on, truck, get in there. I'll let you in, buddy. Come on in there. Come on, guy. I'm gonna let you in. Hey, somebody wanted to talk about traffic. Yeah, you know. It still ain't, as bad as this is, it still ain't Manila traffic. Good Lord. But Manila traffic didn't bother me that much. Come on, get in there, go, my friend, go. But yeah, it didn't really bother me that bad because I wasn't driving it. I can just sit. It ain't gonna bother me to sit down and wait. Hopefully, there's not an accident up here. Yeah, I had a stray cat come up the house. It looks like I'm probably gonna end up keeping it. Kind of getting attached to the little fella. Or female, it's a female. Little, I don't know. Lady. What's the female equivalent of fella? I wonder, I'm trying to think. Let's see. This guy's gonna keep bumping my head. Yeah, thank you, fella. I'm gonna let him go on over here. Come on, truck. I'm gonna let you in again if you get. One more, and then I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna get over. Oh, let's get over. All right. Now I can put my visor back. Oh no. Let's see. Man, that car has had a bad day. Has seen better days. Here's another movie that just came to mind. Excuse me. And this is a more recent one compared to like the 80s and 90s. This probably I don't know if it was before 2010, between 2000 and 2010, or after 2010. But anyway, I like Asian movies and stuff like that, and checking them out and trying them, seeing what they were like. So I was at the movie store and I seen this movie. It was an Asian movie because there was an Asian character on it, and it was an Asian character in it. So I'm like, okay, must be an Asian movie. Let's give it a shot and see what it was, or what this thing is all about. And it was, the name of it, I think, was called The Interview, which I don't know why. Well, I understand why it was called that, but I don't know. Or the title makes sense, but it doesn't. I think they could have came up with a better title. Is what I'm trying to say. But the premise of the movie, and I try not to. I hope I don't spoil anything from all these movies I talk about. But anyway, there's this Asian guy, again, I don't know what Asian country it is, so I couldn't tell you. But it's this Asian guy, and his wife gets sick and passes away. So, or he's an older guy, and he's got a kid. And kid's, I would say, a late teenage years, kind of, pretty much is not off on his own. He still lives at home, but he's kind of does his own thing, and is not that much of an important character. But he does have a son. And it's, from what I can remember, his son kind of is taking the loss of his mom and kind of taking it out on his dad. And his dad's trying to be a single father and provide for his family. And he's not poor or anything. And this is where it comes into it. He has something to do with like the movie or TV industry. So I don't know if he's a CEO or if he's a director or what he is, but I can't remember that part. But he's high up in the movie, entertainment, TV industry. And so he focuses all his life or his time on, or to try to keep from going through the grieving process, he kind of just buries himself in his work. He doesn't deal with his son that much. He's kind of he's there, he pays the bills, he cooks the meals and stuff like that, but he just doesn't want to have that hard conversation with his son and stuff like that. He doesn't want to have that hard relationship without his wife, who he loved very much. And all that at the beginning of the movie, because it really just sets it up. Or, and his friend, who's also kind of high up in the industry, is really sees his friend suffering, and he's alone, and he's depressed, and he looks depressed. He's just having a hard time. And his friend, feels bad for him. He's like, "Hey, man, you should try to move on. You should try to, get your life back together and not, be so hard on yourself and not be so miserable. And he doesn't really, and he kind of expresses to his friends like, look, let's say he's 50 or he's in his 50s. He's like, I'm old. I don't know how to date. I don't know what I'm doing. I wouldn't know how to date. I wouldn't know how to look for somebody else. This is just really, really, really hard for me. And his friend comes up with the idea. He's like, hey, look, why don't we do this? Let's put out a casting call for an interview and have these for a young female of whatever fits your type, and they'll come in for an interview and they'll think they're interviewing for a movie, but instead of interviewing for a movie, you're kind of interviewing them as a potential girlfriend or whatever relationship. And so he's like, he's kind of hesitant about it. He doesn't really think that. He's like, yeah, I don't know. But his friend talks him into it. So he's like, okay, cool. All right, fine. If you get you to shut up, I'll do it, So his friend sets up a casting call for these girls to come in and sit down and do an interview for this movie, or what they think to be a movie. And so they go through and you see some of these interviews, and finally this one girl comes in for the interview, and something about her just makes him just so interested in her, and also he's like, I really like this one. I think this is the one. And it's just something about her got me really interested. And then all of a sudden it cuts back to her, and she's going back home, and she goes inside, and seems to be kind of like a similar situation where she lives alone, and she not very, there's not a lot of it doesn't seem like there's any exciting personality, or in her apartment or whatever, or the place wherever she's at. All you see is this bag. There's like a burlap sack in the corner, and you see her, she's cooking supper or fixing supper or whatever, or you see her, and then she eats supper, and then you see her put down what looks like a cat food or a pet food bowl down on the floor, and then go back to start doing the dishes, and then there's this sack has just been there, and then right before it switches to the next scene, you see the bag move, and it just kind of like startles you, like, what? And I remember watching this, and I'm like, what is this? What am I watching? But I'm trying not to judge it. I'm like, something good is going to happen. Something's going to catch my attention sooner or later. But I'm watching this, and so then it goes back to him, and he's telling his friend, yeah, I like her. I really like her. She's the one. It's like, well, so what we're going to do is, now that you think that she's the one, and you want to try to, what we'll do is we'll cancel the casting call, and we'll give you her number, whatever, and y'all meet and y'all talk and all that. So he's like, okay, cool. So they cancel the movie or whatever, and he calls her up and lets her know, say, hey, look, I understand you came for the casting call, you came to the interview and everything, but there was no movie. This is what's going on. You're, and I really like you, and I'd like to get to know you better, stuff, general stuff like that. And so she's acting really shy and quiet, and I think she was kind of expressed a little bit of disappointment that there wasn't a movie or anything like that, or she wasn't going to be in a movie and all that, and that it was a lie, and she was kind of seemed a little, even though not overly expressed anger or anything like that, somewhat upset that he had lied to her. So then it ends up going back to her, and she goes back to her apartment, or shows her going back to her apartment, or she's back at the apartment she lived in. I'm spoiling the shit out of this, but nobody's listening anyway. So I'm sorry, spoiler alert. Anyway, and there's more to it than the stuff that I remember. So it's still worth. Well, I don't know if it's worth. I wouldn't watch it again because it's scary. Anyway, so you go back, and then yeah, she didn't put previously when she was there, she didn't put down the cat bowl or the pet food bowl. Anyway, you go back, you see her eat her food and stuff like that, and after she eats her food, she gets the cat food bowl and she throws up in it, makes herself throw up in it, and she sets it down, and then she opens the sack, and this gimp, like mutilated person with the eyes, look like if I'm not mistaken, I think the eyes were sewed shut, had like no legs, and it was just like mutilated person crawled out of the thing and crawled over there just to eat the vomit because it was starved. And you're like, holy crap, this is weird, this is crazy, this chick is nuts, what the hell. And so at that point she ends up going back to meet the guy again, and she started, and so I don't go too far into spoilers or anything like that, which I've already spoiled this on. She fucks this dude up. Excuse my language. She just messes that dude up, like cuts his leg off, cuts his feet off, and the craziest thing to me, and like I'm very sensitive about my stuff with eyes. Oh snap! That worked. That didn't go well. Anyway, I'll wrap this up, then I'll throw this thing away. Anyway, she like puts like needles through his eyelids or something like that, or I can't remember if she took these had these really long needles, and I can't remember if she put them under his eyeballs or over his eyeballs, but it was like almost like putting but it was so, oh man, just kind of like, I'm just thinking about it, but it was pretty cool though. It was like whatever country made that movie, they made, and I want to say it's maybe Japanese, maybe, because I know Japanese horror movies are pretty messed up. Like they're the ones, if I'm not mistaken, that originally came out with movies like The Ring and The Grudge, and we kind of took them from there and made them the American version of it. So, which, speaking of that, I know it's out there. There's a The Ring versus The Grudge movie that they made from the Asian version. I want to see that so freaking bad, and I keep trying to find it. I need to find that because I want to watch it. And I don't like scary movies when they're scary movies. I like scary movies that are kind of made into what's the word I'm looking for? Parodies of themselves. Like, I'm not a big fan of Jason movies and Freddy movies, but when Jason versus Freddy came out, oh my god, that was just hilarious. I love that movie. It was such a good movie. If you haven't seen it, go watch that. That was a really good movie. And like Jason X, I like Jason X. Again, it was more of a parody of itself, but I liked it. It was good to me, anyway. So, well, like I said, this thing, I'm holding this thing up with my hand, and my arm's getting tired. So I'm gonna cut this off and catch y'all next time. Thank y'all for riding with me, listening to my nonsense. Y'all have a great one. God bless.